So I had someone tell me today that I left Christianity because I misunderstood God. I just want to clarify by saying that I actually left Christianity because I had too much respect of what a God should be. In fact, just like most Christians would say, I looked at the sun, I looked at the moon, I looked at the stars, I looked at the complexity of the human brain, I looked at all of the things that Christians point to, and I was like, wow, this must be a wise, intelligent God, and I want to read about him, and I want to know about him, and I want to know his wisdom and his depth and his intelligence. Only for me to open the Bible and see a God who cries about the fact that he knew his creation will fail and then creates them. I read about a God who actually went ahead to drown the entire creation that he created, hoping that he would get rid of the stuff that he designed in the first place, only for that same thing to continue on. I read about a God who hardens hearts, who gets jealous, who gets angry, and does all of these petty things that a human will do, and then calls himself divine and just. If I were to design a system, and I know the raw materials that I'm putting into the system, and I know how the reaction is going to be, and if it's going to be a terrible reaction, I know about that, and I still go ahead to design that system, that is my fault. In fact, when that system fails, they will blame me. My boss will blame me. My boss might even fire me because he'll tell me that's an unintelligent design. That's a stupid design. So why should I look at the Bible, see a God who claims to be all-knowing and very intelligent and so smart and so wise and all of these things, only for me to end up seeing a lot of stupidity in the text? I had way too much respect for what a God should be. I had so much respect that I even told myself when I deconstructed, I was like, there is no way this Bible God is the creator of this entire universe. And that's exactly why I stopped being a Christian. Because if he was the creator of the universe, I would see a lot of things that would actually give me high respect for him. Instead, I saw an unintelligent being who was demanding so much worship but had nothing to show for why he should be worshipped in the first place. Why would I want to worship an idiot? Why would I want to worship someone who knew that his design was going to fail in the first place and then calls himself smart and wise? How is that wisdom? And then the funny thing is that the same God will tell his followers, and he will tell them, oh, the things of God is foolishness to those who think that they're wise. They do that because they're trying to gaslight you. They're trying to make you look at the text and say, oh, maybe there's something deeper that I'm not understanding. But what could be so deep about a God regretting his own creation, drowning them, hoping to get rid of the sin that he created in the first place? And then when that didn't work out, he goes ahead to say, oh, I'm going to send my son to come and die so that would also help the whole situation. Yet we're still in a world that is full of sin. And then they gaslight you and tell you, oh, it's not now, it's eventually in the future when it's time for judgment, then all of this stuff is going to happen. So you're telling me that he designed the system knowing that it was going to fail and then calls himself just when judgment comes? How does that make any sense? If anything, that's manipulation. That's why in my previous video, I was like, Christianity is filled with narcissism because they try to gaslight you. They try to gaslight you from using your own intelligence. Why would the same God give you a brain that allows you to think critically and then tells you that, oh, it cannot be understood by the human mind? Or it's not supposed to be, you're not supposed to use human intellect. Oh, God's wisdom cannot be comprehended with the human mind. Why would he do that? Because it's about control. Whoever wrote the Bible knew that they were not making sense. And they were like, you know what, in order for us to make it make sense to people, we have to tell them that they should not use their brain. And that's exactly how Christianity is still thriving, because a lot of people are just choosing to turn off their brain by lying to themselves and gaslighting themselves to believe that they need to have the Holy Spirit in order to understand it. But yeah, I had way too much respect for God. That's why I deconstructed.